Welcome back. So over the past 2 days, the Commission for Gender Equality hosted the employment equity hearings on review of a transformation in the public and private sector. Now, the Commission will then draw a sample of directors from the public sector and chief executive officers from the private sector for them to account for the slow pace of gender transformation in the workplace and inadequate promotion of gender equality and women's empowerment, particularly with regard to women with disabilities. Now, Tamara Mathebula from the Commission for Gender Equality joins us now from our Pretoria studios. A very good evening to you, and thanks for joining us here on The Full View. I mean, over the past 2 days, I know that you sampled 2 companies during these hearings, and I think what was most startling from what we do know is that one of them, you found that one of this company's sexual harassment policies is in drastic need of review.
Good evening, and thank you for having me, Criselda, and good evening to the viewers out there. Yes, we have requested private sector companies like Vodacom Group Limited to come and appear before the Commission. We have also asked Woolworths today to come and appear before us, to come and account on employment equity targets that they have set for themselves for the past 2 years. And we have looked at the policies, especially the sexual harassment policies that they have, but not only sexual harassment policies. We asked them to look at their employment equity policies, whether they are aligned to the current legislative frameworks that we have in South Africa. And in one of these companies, we did discover that their sexual harassment policies are not actually speaking to the issues or the current challenges, which are systematic as well as institutional challenges that are facing not only women and men, but also persons with disabilities as well as the LGBTIQ communities within the companies. And as such, we have actually recommended, in fact, we have made a recommendation that is binding to these companies to say, go back and review your policies and make sure that those policies speaks to the codes of some legislations that we have that are speaking to these minority groups. But also your policies must actually take step-by-step processes on how you deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, because those steps were not clearly articulated or not clearly visible in those sexual harassment policies as well as bullying policies for those particular companies.
With Woolworths, for example, my understanding is that, I mean, there's always been a discussion about how the top levels of executives within companies still remain male. And you also found that with Woolworths, it seems like the top is still heavy with males. I mean, how long does this conversation need to happen? And what kind of sanctions are we looking at here when companies refuse to transform?
It's very frustrating for the constitutional bodies such as the Commission for Gender Equality to realize that in companies such as Woolworths, there is very slow transformation, particularly when you look at transformation in the form of making sure that women are promoted in senior management as well as decision-making bodies. And within Woolworths, yes, we did discover that Woolworths still has predominantly white male as senior managers as well as within decision-making bodies. And when we look at the processes, whether they do have pipelines, plans that are looking at building capacity internally for women within Woolworths to actually go up the ladder, and that was not there. And if it's happening, you will find that it's a promotion of a woman once in a while to actually go up the ladder. So it's very frustrating, and we are saying
Sorry, just to interject there, I understand that one of the arguments that was put forward was that women are not applying for these senior positions. Is that correct? And if it is so indeed, why would that be the case?
Yes, I think many companies and Woolworths were saying that women were not applying for those positions. Question is, are we saying that because when you look at our demographics in South Africa, you will find that women are the majority of our population in South Africa. Also, women are the buyers, you know, the key consumers within those companies such as Woolworths. And I still don't understand why we are saying women don't apply. Are we saying really there are no women in South Africa who are fit enough to actually go up the ladder? Are we advertising in such a way that we draw on women who have capabilities, we draw on persons with disabilities to actually go up the ladder and occupy those spaces? For us, I think we're not taking that excuse, because it actually translates that we are saying women are not visible, women are not there, and perhaps certain things are actually discouraging women to actually go up the ladder, because we know that the system has always been highly patriarchal, and we know that conditions or the culture within these institutions have been so difficult for women to even want to go up the ladder.
Yeah, I would have loved to continue this discussion with you to talk about, you know, facilities, for example, within these particular companies for breastfeeding for women, and, you know, how women with disabilities are still not visible in the system. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Perhaps we'll take up that discussion at a later date. Tamara Mathebula from the Commission for Gender Equality, thanks indeed for joining us tonight.